Hello and welcome back to Arsenal Vavel's official YouTube channel. It is a huge game today. And I mean, this man right next to me needs no introduction. Arsenal versus Newcastle. Harry Roy, welcome back to the podcast, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm good, Dan. All the better for seeing you. And yeah, it's a massive game tonight, isn't it? Well, for Arsenal, not for Newcastle.
I know. I remember earlier in the season we discussed, oh yeah, we'll get you back on for the final game of the season. I'm sure it will just, do the final kind of normalities and stuff. But at the time, I don't think anyone could have like imagined it being this big a game for Arsenal. And
Yeah, I mean it's massive. I mean, I actually said at the start of the season you finished fifth, and I got a lot of people saying, "No, you're mad. They'll be mid-table." But the fact you could go one step further and get top four, but it's a huge one tonight, and the fact you have to come and win the game as well. I mean, it's going to be some night. It's in James's Park. We've got nothing to play for, and it's all on Arsenal. And I'm sure we'll get on to the Derby game, but that surely knocked some confidence out of you heading into this one.
Yeah. I mean, we will reflect on that in a second. But just on that, sorry, I remember we spoke earlier in the season, and one thing you picked out particularly was a lack of European football that would benefit in Arsenal. That was your reasoning behind why you felt Arsenal would finish where they did. And obviously, it's come true in that aspect. Just on Arsenal, real quick, from what you've made of them this season, bar the Derby game, maybe. What's gone well for them? What's not gone so well for them? And just some key areas where you think you've maybe been impressed with Mikel Arteta's side this season.
Well, like you alluded to before, I think the lack of European football certainly helped you because I don't think it's a big squad. I mean, I'm not a huge expert on Arsenal, but I don't think you've been affected by injuries too much, other than obviously I think Lacazette picked up a knock, but he wasn't playing that well anyways.
The main ones are Partey and Tierney because they've been
Yeah, I
out
mean,
for a while.
I mean, you have had injuries, but it's not been wholesale. And I think, Saka's had an amazing season. I mean, Smith Rowe's come on again, and even the likes of Lokonga and the players you brought in the summer. I know you spent a lot of money, but you bought well in all fairness. And I think top four, I think it would cap off in a really, really good season for Mikel Arteta. I always thought that he was always under a lot of pressure as Arsenal manager, and I think he is. And I think if he doesn't deliver top four, then there might be a few questions surrounding it. But I think all in all, it's been a really, really good season. And the fact you're going to finish above Man United, I think you all would have took that at the start of the season, wouldn't you?
Yeah, most definitely. And it looks like it might not just be us finishing above Man United. It could also be West Ham. It could also be a few other teams as well. Let's not talk about Man United, though. We'll leave them to rot down where they are. No point to make them relevant in this season. Newcastle versus Arsenal, travelling up to St James's Park. What are some of your Arsenal Newcastle memories at home? What are some moments that stick out for you?
Well, obviously the 4-4 game, probably one of the greatest games in the modern era. Chet Tiote, God rest his soul. I think there's going to be a tribute to him tonight in the Gallagher, and it's not been confirmed.
Okay, nice,
yet.
yeah.
I think there will be something for him. But other than that, we've not had a lot of great memories really of playing Arsenal. They are our bogey team. I think it's 3 wins in the last 42 against Arsenal. The most recent one coming in 2018, Matt Ritchie. I think we're in a 1-0 victory.
Ooh,
was it 1-0 or 2-1? I'm sure. Anyways, we won the game by a slender lead. But it's not been in recent memory a happy hunting ground for Newcastle against Arsenal.
No, and this season, obviously, you guys came to the Emirates and it was 2-0 in the end. We were both there on one of the coldest games I've ever been to. Honestly, I couldn't feel my feet after that.
Yeah, it was so cold.
But what's changed for Newcastle since that game? Like, I know a lot has, but just talk us through what's changed.
Everything really, without sounding too ridiculous. I mean, it was Eddie Howe's. Technically, it was his first game in charge for that game because he had COVID for the match before. But I think we had spells against Arsenal, but we didn't really put you under any bother at all. But I think once we got into January, it all changed. And this is where, Howe's done a phenomenal job. We've still got an outside chance of finishing the top 10, which is crazy to think. I think we had 7 points after the first 13 games. I think we all would have snapped our hands off for 17th place. But I think if we finish like 14th this season, I think there will be a few fans that may be a little bit disappointed. So I think that the recruitment was excellent, but Howe as a manager, he's brought on so many players already in this existing current crop that were essentially written off. Like Sir Fabian Schär in centre half, Joe Linton. I mean, Joe Willock had such a poor start of the season, and then he's rekindled that form that he had when he was here on loan at the back end of last season. Ryan Fraser's another one that's reaped the rewards of him. Emil Kraft. There's so many players, but the new lads they've brought in, I mean, Matt Target, Bruno Guimaraes, who I'm sure we'll get on to, Kieran Trippier, they've immensely improved this squad, and they've took us from a side that is a bottom of the table relegation fodder to, I would say, comfortably top 10.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk about it. Bruno Guimaraes, that is how you say it, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I think so. I'm not Brazilian.
Obviously a man that Arsenal were incredibly heavily linked with. And then in the space of about a couple of days, I was just Twitter DMing you saying, what's going on? You're stealing the man that we need to sign. The Brazilian's centre midfielder, how good's he been since he's come in? Because Arsenal seemed to be going all out for him in January, and then it just didn't happen. Reports of Mikel Arteta turned his nose up at him, maybe just decided he wasn't the right person for Arsenal. What happened, and where's it gone from there? And have Newcastle made it a good signing?
I mean, the man oozes class. I mean, he's probably, if not on par with Johan Cabaye in terms of a revolutionary central midfielder. He's just a calming influence in such a frantic pitch. He's insane. I mean, I remember the game against, I think it was against Brighton, we were hanging on and we were winning 1-0. And I think it was 2-1 we were winning. And everyone's just shouting, smash it up the pitch, 94th minute. He gets the ball in our own box, and just starts dribbling around, wins us a free kick. And it's like, this is when you see that this is just a different level of player that we've got. And I mean, Arsenal, I think you'll look at this one in a couple of years' time and see him as the one that got away. Because I mean, he's adapted to Premier League life so quickly. And when he first came in, he didn't actually start. I think the first 8 or 9 games. I think Eddie Howe did a great job of just easing him into the side. But since he's gone into that team, he's not looked back. I mean, he scores goals. His passing range is second to none. He's tackling. I think everything he does is just top draw. And I think he's one of those players at the minute that's far too good to play for Newcastle, but he'll certainly grow into the future of the club, which hopefully is fighting with you guys for a top 4 place.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's just crazy to think about how Newcastle could be in that position, especially when if things had gone a little bit further left or a little bit further right, you could have been in the Championship next season. Right, talk us through the game tonight. Who needs to have a good game for Newcastle, and who can be a key part? Is Bruno a player that could be, if he has a good game, Newcastle had got a good chance? Or what are kind of key areas do you think you can talk us through for tonight's game?
I mean, everyone's going to have a good game, to be honest. I mean, Arsenal are still a far better side than Newcastle at the minute. I think we're having Kieran Trippier and Callum Wilson potentially in from the start, a huge boost for us. I mean, we've not had Trippier since mid-February. Wilson, we've had out since just after Christmas. So to have them back it is massive. But I think Bruno will play a massive role tonight if we are to get a result. Just locking down that midfield really and potentially stopping that midfield trio you've got of Saka, Smith Rowe and Ødegaard. I think that will be key. But man to a man, Newcastle are going to have to be very, very good to win tonight against Arsenal. It is a cup final for you guys. There's nothing on the line for us, but St James's Park under the lights. And I think another thing you've got to consider as well is there's a lot of players at the club that are fighting for their futures. They want to be here next season, and that might just breed some performances. I remember the last time a North London club came to St James's Park at a final home game of the season and wanted a result. That was Tottenham Hotspur, and they got beat 5-1, and we were already relegated that day. So I think anything can happen.
That game, I remember that game's well. I remember that, and then just the scenes of the scoreline leaking through to Emirates Stadium, and Harry, honestly,
you finished second, didn't you? They came third in a 2-horse race, didn't they?
Yes, we did. Yeah, but that was the season Leicester won the league, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It was, yeah. So just from an Arsenal perspective, we've got to talk about it. The Tottenham Hotspur game, 3-0 to the biggest North London rivals, to top 4 rivals, and losing in a game where we could have secured Champions League football, but it's going to go right down to the wire now with 2 cup finals, like you said, Harry, against Newcastle away and Everton. And I think from an Arsenal perspective, if Arsenal can beat Newcastle, I think the fans and the home atmosphere will get them across the line at Everton on that final game of the season. But if Arsenal were to lose against Newcastle tonight, it's catastrophic. It's significant dent in any kind of hope for a top four place, because Tottenham have got Norwich on the final game of the season, and you'd seriously back Tottenham to beat them, especially when you look at Burnley fighting for their lives effectively yesterday. And they played well. Burnley played well, didn't they? But I think Tottenham were just there. Got a bit of luck with the penalty. Was it a penalty for you?
I think it was harsh, to be honest, but he has got his arm out, and that is the rules.
Yeah,
so it's one of
you
those
can't.
things.
You
I
can't
think
have
it was
it.
one of those ones as a fan where if you were a Spurs fan, you'd want that penalty, and if you're an opposition fan, you don't want it. It's one of those things, but I think the rule itself's ridiculous. But end of the day, Ashley Barnes has got his arm out, hasn't he? So it's it's one of those.
Exactly. Yeah. So Arsenal need to get 3 points tonight. It's a huge game, monumental game. You're expecting it to be a good atmosphere tonight at St James's?
I think good's an understatement. There's our flags. I think we're quite known in the Premier League for our flag displays pre-match. 49,000 bits of foil have been planted on each seat tonight, so there's going to be a huge display before the game. It's going to be bouncing, to be honest. I think if you're an Arsenal fan, it's probably one of the last games you'd want.
Yeah.
Going for a top four, needing a must win coming away to Newcastle, irrespective of the form you have against us and the fact we've just come off a 5-0 loss to Man City. But yeah, it's going to be some atmosphere, and I just think like under the lights as well. It's always a different kettle of fish, I think, for an opposition team coming up to play at St James's Park.
The atmosphere could play a key part as well, because we've looked at intense atmospheres, and Arsenal have struggled in previous games under these kind of atmospheres. When you look at Crystal Palace losing 3-0 there, Tottenham again the other night, that was a decent atmosphere, as much as you don't want to hand it to them. It was a loud atmosphere, an intimidating atmosphere. If Newcastle get an early goal and the whole place is rocking, like that could seriously, like, Arsenal's heads could go down, and that could be a real worry for Arsenal in that respect, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think one thing you've got to give Arsenal credit for is, I mean, previous to the Spurs game, I mean, you won away at Chelsea and you won away at West Ham. I mean, they're two, I wouldn't say they're similar atmospheres to St James, of course, but difficult away games, London derbies, and you've already shown you can go there and win games. So I don't think it's too much of a worry. I think like it is at any football ground. I mean, we've seen it at Everton yesterday. Like, the atmosphere was fantastic, but as soon as Brentford got a goal, it did go quiet. I mean, if Arsenal can control the game, get the goal within the first 25 minutes, then it could be a comfortable night for you. It's hard to say, but the last thing you want to do is start slow and let Newcastle come into the game. You've got to control the ball, and you've got to assert your dominance on the game, because if you don't, then it's going to be a very, very tough night for you.
100%. And I think Arsenal have got to be up for it. Like you said, they just got to go for it and just really try and play some good football. And I think leave everything on the pitch, and then there's a long way until the Everton game and we can get across the line there. Right, team news. Let's talk about team news. You say Arsenal haven't had many injuries, and in my opinion, since the new year, there's been too many injuries. Thomas Partey, a key player for this side, could make an appearance before the end of the season. I doubt it, but I don't think he'll be in the squad, or I don't even know if he's travelled. But the main kind of area is Gabriel and Ben White in that centre-back role. Ben White was an unused substitute in the Tottenham game, and obviously Gabriel came off of a hamstring injury. So it could, if both of them are unavailable, we could see a back four of, Cedric, Tomiyasu, Granit Xhaka, and Nuno Tavares. So, I mean, fingers crossed we don't, but I think Gabriel and Ben White are the main ones, and if they start, then we're good in that aspect. Where else is there? I think Saka's good. I think Arsenal are pretty much full strength, apart from obviously Thomas Partey is a long term, and then Rob Holding with his red card. Is it pretty much a fully fit Newcastle side? I know you said that Kieran Trippier could come back and make his first start for the club since his injury. Is that the main kind of one to talk about?
We actually do have quite a few injuries, I think, in particular in midfield. Jonjo Shelvey and Joe Willock have both been ruled out until pre-season. So I think it will be Sean Longstaff, Bruno and Joe Linton in the midfield, which isn't a bad choice, but I think we'll miss Willock's legs and Shelvey's passing range. I certainly think in that respect. Trippier, I mean, he came on against Man City, but he didn't look fully fit. He still looked a yard short. So maybe Emil Kraft will retain his place at the stop. I think Trippier will play tonight. And in terms of the centre-half as well, Jamal Lascelles has started the last few games. Fabian Schär is preferred to him. He had just trained all week, but it's whether he's ready. And the same goes for Callum Wilson as well. Obviously, Chris Wood started the game, but Wilson's had a couple of weeks of training now. I think he will start. And maybe Ryan Fraser may come back in for Almiron. So it's hard to call really what the side is tonight, but I think you nailed on starters as Dubravka, Dan Burn, Target, the midfield three, and St Maximan. Other than that, it's all up in the air. But I do want to chat to you about Gabriel, because I think this is a big one tonight. If he doesn't play, I certainly do fancy Newcastle's chances more, because I remember in that reverse fixture, he had Callum Wilson on lock.
Oh, massively, massively.
Yeah, and like Wilson's such a clever player. I mean, he came on against Man City and he could have had two. I think it'll make a massive difference to us. And if you have got a makeshift defence tonight, I think it may just swing this in our favour a little bit more. But yeah, Gabriel and Ben White are huge. Do you know if they've travelled or not? Because I heard a rumour that they have, but it doesn't seem like they've been training or anything.
No, neither of them have been pictured in training, but an Arsenal fan was staying in the same hotel as the Arsenal players. And I believe there's been reported that Ben White's expected to start from the beginning, but someone's taken a picture with Gabriel, and it sounds like it's going to be a late fitness test to see in that respect. I think personally, potentially, if it's up in the air, I'd start him just because there's only 2 games left this season. And then I think this is the priority. This is the game that we need. Tommy Asu obviously has played at centre-back for Bologna before in a back 3, but it could be a big kind of a culture shock coming from a back 3 to a back 2, you know what I mean? Like, it's very different.
Especially the Premier League as well.
Exactly. You look at Harry Maguire, he thrives in a back 3 and then can become quite isolated in a back 4, sorry to say. But yeah, Gabriel he's travelled up, he's with the squad, but it sounds like it's going to be a late fitness test in that aspect. Harry, thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to round this up now with a brief little score prediction. We're not going to do the combined 11 like we said last time.
To be fair, there's a few more players that will get in that team now. It's not a full Arsenal team anymore.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Maybe next season it will be a bit more of a fair one. We'll do it then.
Absolutely.
Score prediction. What's the score going to be? And talk to me. Let's talk goal scorers as well. Give it all there.
You're not going to like me. 3-1 Newcastle.
Wow.
I just think that usually every season Newcastle take a scalp. They've not done that this season. They usually beat a big 6 side at home. We've not done that. The draw against Man United was the closest we came. But I just feel under the lights, final home game of the season, Callum Wilson back, fit and starting, hopefully. I just think it's going to be one of those nights where it could be a fantastic night for us. But if Arsenal turn up and play their game, they will win the match. So it's hard to say, but I've got to back my team. I'm going to go 3-1 Newcastle.
3-1.
Goal scorers for me, I think Wilson will get one and Bruno was nailed on to score. The narrative behind him not going to Arsenal and coming to us, it's nailed on to happen there. Wow.
Well, what? Bruno's going to score 2?
Bruno's going to score, Wilson 2 for me.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Okay. Wow. The game, honestly, this game is monumental. Like, if this is 0-0 in the 70th minute, I will be a nervous wreck.
Because you have to win. This is the thing. Like,
have to win to get Champions League. I mean, in the grand context of things, if we finished 5th in a season after finishing 8th the season before, it's progress. It's something you see. We were in the Champions League battle until the last game. It's progress. But Arsenal fans have been in this 4th spot for so long now and just want to get into the Champions League again.
And it's the fact that it's Tottenham.
Absolutely.
You've not finished above them for a while. It's about 5 seasons, isn't it, since the last time we finished above Spurs?
Yeah, the last time we finished above them, I was still in school, so it's been a long time. It's been a long time. Harry, thanks for joining me today. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say 2-1. I think it's gonna be a bit of a nervy one. Arsenal versus Newcastle tonight. We'll be covering the live for this game via our office, so follow us at Vavel _. We've moved. We've got a new Twitter account. Harry, anything you want to plug for the Newcastle side of things?
Well, I'll be at the game tonight, so plenty of updates over on my Twitter account. I'm sure Dan will give it a lovely retweet off the Arsenal Vavel account for me. So yeah, it's going to be a big night and neutral coverage from me. I know my Twitter is when we do the live tweets, it's very Newcastle focused. But for any Arsenal fans wanting to read the report, it will be as neutral as possible. And yeah, looking forward to a really, really good night. And hopefully Dan's got a very, very unhappy face at full time.
Like I said this before we started recording. If Arsenal lose tonight, I think it's log out of Twitter for a couple of days kind of job. But
yeah,
no, I don't know about deactivate. But I'm not going to be posting anything that's going to be clipped in 4K. But no, thank you, Harry, for joining me. Drop Harry a follow. Not only will we be retweeting, his link will be in the description. So for all kind of content surrounding Newcastle and the Premier League, make sure to drop him a follow. And he's at the games as well. So make sure you keep up to date with all of that. Drop me a follow if you want to. Drop us a follow on Twitter, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll catch you again, hopefully after an Arsenal win. But until then, thank you very much and goodbye.